Dan Gamblin' Campbell. When it comes to our head coach, many people associate that going for it on fourth down is primarily, if not always, his idea. But most recently, Jared Goff was the reason that we went for it. We're going to talk about it and what it means for our team going forward. Stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So, my friends, I just wanted to put this out there really quickly. Obviously, you guys have seen me wear this, mock neck before. And I've said it in the past. The reason I bought it was because of the fact that when's the time you're going to ever see the ability to get a purple and gold, mock neck that has the Detroit Lions emblem. And that's truly why I bought it. But I'm going to say this right now. The Lord working in mysterious ways and, how things kind of work themselves out, I'm kind of glad that I have it for another reason today because as I've been pushing out on Facebook, Twitter, also on my YouTube community posts, it has been announced that, legendary Hall of Fame wide receiver Randy Moss has been diagnosed with liver cancer. Don't really know any more details other than that as far as the severity, as far as what stage it is in, but I figured that today would be a really good day to wear this to kind of, again, put it out there that I am thinking about him. Hopefully he's doing well and, thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. And just, again, like I said in my post, it doesn't matter that he was a former Vikings. It's the point of the matter is that he's a human being. He's a part of team humanity. And I don't care who you are. I always want to see people do well. I always want to see people in good health and good spirits. So just wanted to take a moment or two here to kind of talk about Randy and, his health and wish him the best of luck and sending him prayers and thoughts. So, again, just my little, kind of like, hey, get well message for him. But, having said that, let's talk about the episode itself today. When it comes to the Detroit Lions, folks, we obviously know that our entire main goal this year is the Super Bowl. We can talk about playoffs. We can talk about a division title. We can talk about getting back to the NFC Conference Championship game. We can talk about all that crap all we want. But it's all for naught if we don't win the Super Bowl. Not even get to a Super Bowl. Because I'm telling you this right now. You talk to any Lions player, you talk to any Lions coach, they don't give a damn about just getting to the Super Bowl. They want to win the Super Bowl. Now, why am I talking about that in this context? Because after all, there's still 4 weeks left in the regular season. So we're not even close to that yet. The reason why is because there was an event that just happened that I think is extremely huge, great news for the Detroit Lions, even though nobody else is going to think about it this way. I do. As we all know, in the game that we most recently just played against the Packers, the Lions went for it on fourth down in the fourth quarter. There was like about a minute or so left on the clock, and the Lions had two options. They could either kick the field goal, extend their lead, and give the ball back to Green Bay, or they could decide to go for it on fourth down, burn the remainder of Green Bay's timeouts, kick the field goal, and ice the game. Both of them were very valid options. A lot of people, announcers included, said that it would be smart for Campbell to just take the points. And I'm going to say this. I was under the impression that, that's not what Campbell's going to do because that's not what he's done in the past. Because let's go back to that game really quickly. Up to that point, we had gone for it 4 times on fourth down. We converted 3 of them. So it's like, okay here. I was under the impression, I'm like, listen, Campbell's going to try and win the game. So when I saw Campbell actually, send the offense back out, that didn't surprise me. Now, some people thought it was a feint. He's trying to get somebody to draw off sides. If not, take a penalty, take the field goal. I was like, listen, I'm telling you, I think they're going to go for it, which they obviously did. But the point of the matter is that everybody naturally assumed that Campbell was the one that made that call. Well, the thing of the matter is that we have found out that it was not Campbell who made that call. Rather, it was quarterback Jared Goff who made the call. That is very, very interesting. It's very big because of what it truly means here. And I'm going to take you down a rather detailed explanation of why I'm saying this and what it means for our Super Bowl success. Let's understand something here. You can talk about what, freaking Teddy Bruschi has said. You can talk about what freaking Colin Cowherd has said about how, listen, you can't go for it on fourth down. There's no more kneecaps and ankles to bite. You've got to start playing like you're the top dog. You can go ahead and talk about that all you want. But like I said in my previous episode, in response to what Colin Cowherd had said, you can't all of a sudden change what got you here because it no longer is what is considered popular or appropriate given to your current station. It's like, listen, Campbell's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to continue to work with the formula that got us here. He's not all of a sudden going to toss everything out and say, screw it, because everybody's telling him it's no longer good. We've clearly seen that it's still good. We have clearly seen that it still works. Well, here's why this conversation is important when we're talking about it in reference to Jared Goff. We can talk about, like I said, about, Dan Campbell's decision-making process. Everybody's well acquainted with it after the last 4 years. But Jared Goff is not somebody that normally gets brought up in this conversation. About the most we talk about him with the whole decision-making process is when he walks up to the offensive line, he'll, scan the defense, look it over. Maybe he'll make an audible or do one of those kill things. That's him making a decision. But this kind of a decision, much bigger, has a much more profound meaning, and it has absolutely great news for us Lions fans and for the Lions organization. Because when I take a look at what happened, there are 8 particular things about what happened within that one particular play that is going to roll into us, I believe, not only getting to a Super Bowl, but winning a Super Bowl. And the 8 things we're going to talk about, I'm going to try my best to go through them at a pretty steady pace here, because I don't want this taking 30 minutes, is confidence, winner's mindset, fearlessness, conviction, trust, attitude, leadership, and carpe diem. Now, when we take a look at all 8 of those qualities, 8 of those traits, whatever you want to call them, and you try to bundle them up and you try to roll them into this particular situation we're talking about. The first thing I want to bring up here is that when we're talking about Jared Goff as a player, we're talking about Jared Goff as a quarterback. It has become a no contest, no debate situation that Jared Goff has clearly shown he has the talent to win in the NFL. I mean, for crying out loud, he's one of the winningest freaking quarterbacks ever since he came into the NFL in 2016. He's been one of the most winningest quarterbacks in Detroit Lions history. So it's like, yeah, the guy clearly knows how to win. But the one thing that I know some Lions fans have constantly held in reserve was not necessarily if he had the talent to get us to the game to win, but rather or not he had the heart, the spirit, commitment, if you will, the drive to win no matter what. It's kind of like what you call that warrior's edge, that competitive spirit. It's like, listen, you just have that special it where it's like you are not going to let anything get in your way of achieving your goal. And what I truly believe when I'm talking about these 8 qualities, traits, whatever, is that Jared Goff, you can say what you want about me maybe reading too much into this, but I don't give a damn. Jared Goff showed by making the decision on the sideline to go for it that he has the heart, he has the spirit, he has the commitment, he has the competitive drive, he has that special it factor to not only get us to the Super Bowl, but to win the Super Bowl. And let's talk about those traits now. Let's talk about the first one, confidence. You go back to that particular situation. We're going to talk about it in that context a lot for the rest of this video. Put yourself in Goff's shoes for just a moment there. If you take a look at the situation, Goff had to have extreme confidence, not only one, in himself, but also two, in the offense's capabilities to execute and run the play successfully, but then also to make sure that you convert the play on fourth down, because we got to call for what it is. That is a do or die moment. There is no do-over. It's not like you get another down to potentially do it. It's like, listen, this is it. If you do not make this work, there is a good chance you could lose the game. I mean, you are literally putting it all on the line. And think about it. Jared Goff, he goes walking back to the sideline. If you've heard where this is coming from, it's coming from Richard Sherman, who said he and Andre Whitworth, what is it? The former left tackle that played with Goff while he was with the LA Rams, they talked to Goff about that particular play, and Goff said that when he was walking over to the sideline, when we saw the freaking replay, and if I can find a clip, I will put it here so that way you guys can see it. He's walking over to the sideline, he's warming up, he's throwing passes and making look like he's going to go back out there and he's going to actually run a play. Well, let's call for what it is. Goff was not putting on a show. That was his full intent. Because if you further take a look within that clip, when he gets over to the sideline and he starts talking to Dan Campbell, you can clearly see Goff grabs the left side of his helmet and he grabs the buckle strap and he snaps it off really hard, like he's frustrated, he's angry. And then all of a sudden you see Campbell put his hand over his mouth and then Goff rebuckles up and he heads back out. Well, that's where Richard Sherman says that between the two of them, there was some sort of like little conversation, might have been with their eyes, might have been with whatever else, but after that, Goff went back out. And according to Richard Sherman, the conversation was like, Goff wanted to go for it. He did not want to freaking, kick the field goal. And Campbell said, if that's what you want to do in essence, let's go for it. We're going for it. So Goff had to have the confidence to go up to Campbell, tell him, listen, I don't want to just, kick a field goal and put it back in their hands. I want to go for it. You got to have a hell of a lot of confidence in yourself and the whole unit to make that decision. That's quality number one. Quality number two, fearlessness or being fearless. Okay, folks, I'm going to tell you this right now. I remember when the play itself happened. Everybody in the freaking, live stream chat, my freaking, messenger group chat, everybody wanted to instantly talk about how Campbell had shown he had these massive cojones to go out there and make that decision for that play. Well, again, as we now have found out, it wasn't Campbell who made the decision. It was Goff. Think about it. The fact that Goff made that decision, again, like I said, confidence. But the fearlessness factor about it is just ridiculously crazy. You have to imagine the quarterback, you're walking up to the line of scrimmage. You're looking over everything. You're like, okay, this looks right. This looks like a play that we can run on this defense. But I guarantee you this, being the fact that Goff has been in for 9 years, he's a professional, I can tell you this right now. You can say all you want, but there's going to come a moment, whether it's for like a very split second, you're going to kind of be like, man, I hope I made the right decision here. That's not doubt, but you are just like, man, this could go one way or the other. But you still take the plunge. You still go forward. You don't have any fear. You don't have any reservations. For Goff to not only, one, do that within himself, but again, to go up to Dan Campbell and say, listen, I don't like that decision, I want to go for it here. I do not want to give the ball back to Green Bay. I want to win the game here. I want to ice it. Again, there's a fearless factor. There is a boldness factor there. It's like, listen, I don't care what I have to do to try and make my argument here. I want us to get this game over with because I believe that we can. Which, if you think about it, that leads us in to another one of the qualities I was talking about, the conviction factor. Because if you think about it, with the conviction factor, that falls very closely within the fearless factor because it's like, listen, how do I put this? There's no way in hell you can try and come off being quote-unquote fearless if you're not convicted in what the hell it is you're trying to do. Because I'm sorry, human beings are pretty good at spotting fakes. They're pretty good at spotting phonies. And when you're talking about guys that play professional football, they have to be able to read body language. They have to be able to interpret what's going on a field. If you try to come off as if you are, all big and tough and not afraid of anything, but you don't have that conviction about you, you don't have that air about you, people are going to pick up on it really quickly. So not only was Goff showing a fearless factor when he went up to Campbell, he's like, listen, I am convinced, I am committed, I know for a fact that in my heart of hearts, I know we can do this. I know we will get it done. Which, again, combine the conviction, combine the fearless factor, if you will. Up until that point, our running game had not done very well that whole day. We were barely picking up maybe 1-2 yards a pop most times we were trying to run the ball. So to go for it on a fourth and a very long one, yeah, you'd have to be convicted that you were going to make it work. That it's like, listen, the offensive linemen, they're going to get their blocks. Hey, the running back's going to find the right hole. We're going to have everything executed to perfection. To have that belief, not only in yourself, the team, the unit, that you can get it done, again, that exhibits an inner type of strength, an inner type of reserve of grit that you are going to have when you get into some very high pressure situations, aka the Super Bowl. Now, as we all know, Goff has already been there, but again, the more practice, the more you have to draw on before you go into said situation, the better. Now, after conviction, we have winner's mindset. Winner's mindset, that might sound like a very self-explanatory kind of quality, and let's call it for what it is. It kind of is as far as what it means, having a winning mindset. But what exactly does that mean in context with Goff here? Well, here's how I put it. Anybody who plays a sport, I don't care who they are, they're all going to say the same thing. Well, yeah, I want to win because that's the objective of playing sports. You are playing a contest of some sort of nature. You're trying to win. But let's call it for what it is also. When push comes to shove, when rubber meets the road, there are very few people who are fully committed to doing whatever the hell they have to do to win. And I'm not talking about doing stuff illegally. I'm talking about giving everything they have. That's what I'm talking about, being fully committed, fully responding to the challenge. And when you think about it for what it truly means here, the best thing I can say about this is what Tom Brady has done. And I've talked about this a little bit in passing in the past, but whenever I heard Tom Brady get asked about, hey, what's your thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on that? And everything else, as far as what do you think about this game, this opponent, it all came back to the same damn answer for Brady. All I care about's winning. Didn't care about the records, didn't care about the numbers, didn't care about the accolades as much. All he cared about was winning. Well, let's call it also in the context of what it is here. We've heard Jared Goff get in front of our media guys several times over the last, however many years. I don't remember Jared Goff ever once saying that he was worried about stats. I don't remember Goff ever once being worried about whether or not he won FedEx Air Player of the Week or he won this or that. That's normally stuff that fans worry about. But is it nice? Absolutely, and he acknowledges that. But the one thing I have heard him say is that, listen, all I care about's winning. That I have heard him say. All he cares about is winning. He wants to just win. And if you think about it, put that in the connection with Tom Brady. Jared Goff took less money than what he could have gotten from the Detroit Lions. Much like how Tom Brady took less money over the course of his career to allow other players to get signed, other players to be brought in, which, you take a look at this season, that definitely showed up. You take a look at what freaking Jared Goff has done ever since he's been here. Much like what the great quarterbacks over the last 20, 30 years have done. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, so on and so forth. They harp on the fundamentals. They're constantly going over the basics incessantly. They are doing whatever they can to get better on the little things, the little details. And then they also provide the leadership aspect. Not only the physical leadership element on the field by being that captain, that voice in the huddle, but they're also that emotional leader. They're that mental leader. They're that spiritual leader as like, hey, they're not afraid to speak up for themselves and for their guys when they feel like, hey, we can do this. We can do what we have to do to make things work. Again, there's a reason why I have my thumbnail image the way I do with, oh, I want the ball. And then it says right underneath it, winners always do. For any of you that watched the movie The Replacements with Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about there. And ain't it funny how it fits within the parameters of this episode oh so damn well. Just saying. The point is, Goff, like Brady in the situation we're talking about on that 4th and 1, he's like, listen, I want the ball. And, kind of like what Campbell said without saying it, okay, go do it. Winners always want the ball. They don't want to leave anything up to chance. They want to win. That's your winner's mindset. Now, moving quickly through these last couple of ones here. The last big one I want to talk about here is trust. Again, trust is a pretty self-explanatory one, but it's an offshoot of conviction, much like how, that was an offshoot of another one. A lot of these play off of each other, but they're going deeper and deeper and deeper within the conversation. Well, trust is probably about as deep as you're going to go. Because when you think about it, in order for you to have trust, you're on a very deep personal level with somebody. Because you implicitly trust that they're going to do the right thing. Even though you might not have any evidence of them doing it, or you might not have any evidence to believe they will do it again. Well, take a look at the situation again for what it is. In order for Jared Goff to make the decision, to make the call to question Campbell, it showed that he had 3 distinct levels of trust within himself, with the team, and with Campbell. Well, let's think about the team factor here. Again, that one's very simple to understand. The quarterback position is the leader of the team. If you want to be a successful quarterback, the team has to trust you. The team has to believe in what you're doing. Because if they don't, that's where things are going to start falling apart very, very quickly. The quarterback has to trust the team, and the team has to trust the quarterback. If there's no trust or only one trusts the other, you're going to have problems. Well, Jared Goff clearly showed that he trusts his guys, and his guys trusted him. They've always trusted Goff because you listen to any of them talk. They're like, listen, Goff is a stud. Goff is a great athlete. He's a great leader. We don't have to worry with him. He's got us. Okay, so that's the trust factor within the team. Trust factor within Campbell. Again, Campbell's the leader. He's like the leader. Everybody looks to him when it's time to make a decision. But in the one time where that would have been his time to make a decision and stick with it, Goff walked up to him, trusted that Campbell would be willing to listen to reason, trusted the relationship that those two men have amongst one another, and trusted that he would be willing to listen to him and make the right decision based upon the situation. To have that level of trust is something that I don't care what people want to say. Not every head coach quarterback tandem has that. Hell, you want to think about it this way. Take a look at the whole drama that's been unfolding for the last, year or two with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. That is a fractured relationship. What we saw freaking last Thursday with Goff and Campbell, there's no fracture at all. Those two are literally like this. They are in lockstep. They literally know how to work together and get the best out of each other and from each other. Now, finally, trust of self. again, this kind of goes back to the confidence factor, but you have to trust yourself in those moments of high pressure because you are putting yourself now out on a ledge. You are now putting yourself out on a branch and you're saying, hey, I am saying that we can get this done. I am saying that if we are allowed to do this, I am going to get it done. You have a lot of people that are putting trust in you. They are putting faith in you. And it's not just people that are not you yourself, but it is you yourself because you are now trying to say, listen, not only am I going to prove it to everybody else that we can do this, I'm going to prove that I am right to them. And it's a trust building exercise in essence. It's probably the most, extreme way to do it, but it's still the same thing. You are showing that you are not only trustworthy to believe in, but that, everybody should listen to when you have something to say, or that, hey, if we have a decision that needs to be made, we can trust this guy, we can believe in this guy to make the right choice. And I'll tell you this right now, it's always a good thing to have more than just one of those individuals on your team. You don't want to always have to go to your head coach because sometimes maybe he might not have the right answer. Sometimes you might have to go to somebody else. The fact that the Lions have so many guys that fall into that category, Campbell, Johnson, Glenn, Goff, whoever have you, that's a huge benefit for us. And then to wrap up these last couple of ones really, really quickly here. You have obviously attitude, which the best way I can put attitude is, hey, we don't give a hoot and hanny. We don't give a damn who is in our way. We are going to get this done. It's like, listen, we have a positive mindset. We have a positive attitude about ourselves, but we are focused. We are determined. We are going to get this done. And doesn't matter who the hell's in our way, we're getting it done. Come hell or high water. It's an attitude of, hey, I don't care if you're a brick wall. We're still going through you. Then you get to the leadership aspect. The leadership aspect I've literally kind of infused throughout the entirety of this episode talking about Goff. You can't be an effective leader without having most of these elements. Leadership is the ability to either, one, get people to be, more than themselves or more than what they think of themselves and get them to perform and excel better, or it's your ability to inspire others to follow you by you providing the example. And Jared Goff does both of those things very, very well. And especially within the situation that we're talking about here. And then the final one, carpe diem. If you went to high school, you know exactly what this is because virtually every freaking sports program uses this saying. Seize the day. You take a look at that situation that we're talking about, the 4th and 1, end of the Green Bay game. Goff recognized that there was a moment there where it's like, hey, I need to seize this opportunity. I don't want it to pass me by. I don't want it to pass our team by. Let's seize the opportunity. Let's get out of here with the win. Let's not leave anything up to chance. Goff took it and he didn't let go of it. And sometimes it's just recognizing those moments and making the decisive action. So when I put all this together, put it into context of our Super Bowl success, when you have a quarterback that's playing as well as Goff is playing, but then exhibits these freaking, traits, and albeit it's in one play, but sometimes that's literally all it takes is one play to change the outcome of a game. And you take a look at that play. Had Goff not made the decision, maybe we might not win that game because we give the Packers too much time with 2 timeouts. If, Goff doesn't have the ability to extend his arm while he's being tripped to hand the ball off, maybe we don't get the first down and now we're in a real pickle. That's what I'm talking about. True leaders make stuff happen. They do not make excuses and they are going to do whatever they have to get the result they're wanting. And guys like that are very, very rare. That's why quarterbacks like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, yes, even Patrick Mahomes and all those other guys that have won multiple Super Bowls, they have that mindset. I know Goff has had it for a long time, but people didn't believe it because they hadn't seen it. I just showed you how he does. But anyway, this went on a lot longer than what I wanted to, but I feel good about it. So, having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all, please, if you've subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you never miss any more content. Also encourage y'all to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. So that way the channel can continue to grow and spread. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed the content. Whether you're a long-time viewer or this is the first time viewing me, also hope everyone out there has got something in their life that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.